So the private sector were clearly involved today, and it definitely reflects their increasing understanding that climate risks are very relevant to them, and so they're now much more actively involved in saying, well, how do we make sure we understand this better and manage the implications, not just for them and their own financial sustainability, but they all recognise they have a very important role to play in society, in making sure that people are safe, for example, the insurers, and that people can afford their mortgages, etc., and able to repay those. And so there's an incentive for them to be able to try and make sure that these types of material risks are factored into their investment decision making.
We think that the private sector are key to some of the implementation of the risk reduction framework, and organisations such as the Australian Business Roundtable for Disaster Resilience and Safer Communities are really at the forefront of trying to work collaboratively with a whole range of business partners to reduce disaster risk.
So what we've seen is that there's all parts of the economy engaging with disaster, and what we're seeing is climate change that's locked in to our system now will really be shifting the baseline. So past information is no longer an indicator to future indication, and we've just completed significant work for Commonwealth Bank, which looked at productivity and profitability of the agriculture sector for over the next 60 years. So they're getting a much better understanding of what happens throughout a regional diversity of agricultural production across their key commodities. But importantly, not only understanding the declines in profitability, but what each individual farmer or agribusiness can do. So looking at the adaptation measures and techniques and technologies that can be brought in place to help farmers and agriculture sectors adjust to the climate change impacts within their business environment.
So as insurers, we're obviously very interested in this issue. For us, having a resilient society and resilient communities enables us to provide insurance. And that's where we sit. We sit at the end of the chain in terms of managing the risk. And we rely a lot on people earlier on in the chain making things workable. So this is a conversation we absolutely want to be a part of, because I think we're all in it together in terms of overall outcomes that we're all trying to achieve, which is safer communities, safer businesses, resilient societies. That's what we care about too, and that enables our business and what our function is. So that's why we want to be a part of it.
When I was invited to speak at today's presentation, one of the most important things that I thought people needed to hear was just how quickly the knowledge of weather and disaster risk is moving into other sectors, and how much it's going to affect government and communities. We work very deeply into the finance sector and with governments and infrastructure providers, and we know they're actively bringing climate and weather risk into their decision making now. And that's affecting the policies they're going to set, the access to financial markets and financial products for consumers, such as insurance or mortgages. And one of the most important things we think people need to know is that this is happening now. It's been talked about for decades as something that may happen in the future, but it's happening right now. And companies like ours are part of that.